we are going to call the meeting to order and indicate for the record, Janet, that all council members are present. And I would ask, Jim, would you please say the Pledge of Allegiance for us?
Yes, ma'am. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate that. The next item on the agenda is a consent calendar. We have none because this is a special meeting. We have 2 items on our agenda this evening. And before we go to public comment, I do want to ask the council's indulgence to change the order of the agenda. Normally we take public hearings first, but as the budget is liable to take a little bit longer than the other item, I want to take item 6A, the establishment of a public safety committee first. Before that, after public comment, and then we will go to the budget after that. Do I have the concurrence of my council? Anybody object? I don't see anybody objecting, so we will take item 6 before item 5. And now is the time when we can go to public comment. This is the time on all our agendas when people may comment on any item that is not listed on tonight's agenda. And
Mayor,
actually, you know what, before that, let me ask for a report on the day's events from our acting city manager, because we've had a lot going on in town. So let me ask Laura to report first on the morning and then on the afternoon.
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor and council members and the public. This morning we had a vegetation fire that started next to the elementary school off of Pine Hollow Court. It burned the grasses there and chased down the slope to toward Oak Street, contained at about 5 acres. The Consolidated Fire District was quick to respond, as was our police department. We had a couple of officers out there, and Officer Pike took to a hose and doused some areas, and 2 of our maintenance staff, Juan Gonzalez and Jim Warburton, were in the area, and they had their shovels in their truck, and they started making a fire break out there. And the fire was started by the vacant lot next to the school district's back parking lot there, which is owned by Clayton Community Church. A volunteer was cutting the weeds and sparked the fire with the mower. So that was contained in short order. We had several response units from Consolidated Fire out here. I think they had at least 5 rigs that I saw come out, so they had a quick response and was able to get that contained and put out pretty quickly. This afternoon, late this afternoon, maintenance staff, a couple of our maintenance staff was downtown. The intention was to replace some of our faded American flags before the 4th of July. We had a donation from some couple of residents in town that had called up and offered to donate some American replacement flags for downtown. As typical, we've had these types of offers in the past. The staff graciously accepted that offer. Unfortunately, we were deceived. The flags were not identical replacement flag. They were the Blue Lives Matter flags, which is a special type of flag, and that would need to have city council approval if it was to be flown. So unfortunately, the maintenance staff that was out there were under the impression that that type of flag was approved, and it was not. So they removed it, and tomorrow the remaining American flags will be reinstalled. And the residents have been advised as to the proper procedure for alternative flags or pennants to be displayed in town, how that process works. So with that, that was today's activities.
So it's been a very busy day in town. Tuya, would you like to comment?
Yeah, just a quick comment. So regarding the flag replacement, it's one thing to replace the flags with one-to-one, the same flags. It's one thing to deceive staff with a different flag. So I'd like to see if we could ask those residents who had done that act to see if they would like to volunteer to pay for the maintenance staff time that it took with the hassle.
Okay, this is not a time for a discussion, so that request has been made of staff, and we will note that that has been made. So at this point, we will go to public comment. I see that we have 2 hands raised. The first one is Matt Foley. And Matt, we will get you unmuted. Okay, you're unmuted. Hi, Matt.
Okay. Hi. So my comment was about the flags. To see them put up when I drove out through downtown and come back to see them being taken down, I would think, and to the council member's point, that the city should have had some due diligence to come back and say and charge those people. There should have been some due diligence on the city's part to confirm what those flags are. That wasn't the reason I was calling in, is to see that I felt that was great for the city to do something like that, to respect the officers that are being stereotyped, being verbally assaulted across the board, which the city is trying to get away from, and everyone's crying foul, but they're doing the exact same thing to the officers, and the nation as a whole is doing that. So it'd be great to see those flags put right back up now that you have them. That's it.
Thank you, Matt. The next speaker is Bassam Altwell. There you go, Bassam. Gotcha.
Good evening, everybody. I want to come back to an argument of last week, the street closures. Mr. Wan, in his last city meeting, declared that he asked staff to close certain streets, Coleman, Easley, and Stranahan. My question stays to the city attorney. What authority has one council member to order closures of a public-funded, tax-paid-for street? Under what legal authority can he do that? Why didn't the council member consult with the police about any street closures? I want to mention another thing. Mr. Wan mentioned that he stood by Stranahan and multiple people, about 10 people, were cursing at the Stranahan people. With his history of bending the truth, I doubt that. Friday was a very peaceful protest. I stood for a few minutes by Stranahan and did not witness any of that. And with videotapes these days, Stranahan people could have videotaped those people who are cursing at them. I highly doubt that. Please do not justify a bad decision with a worse excuse. As regarding to the street closures as well, Oak Street was not addressed. Oak Street's closure was closed by a white SUV manned by vigilantes. It's not Stranahan, it's not Coleman, it's not Easley. I asked if anybody will investigate that. I did not receive any answer from Chief Warren or the city council member. Oak Street was closed again by a car, by vigilante, and they were rude to people who actually live in Oak Street. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bassam. The next speaker is Laura Seaholm.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Laura.
Okay,
go ahead.
great. Thank you. So good evening. My name is Laura Seaholm.
Uh-oh, you got muted.
You went back on mute.
Gotta unmute.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So anyway, I've lived in Clayton for 18 years, and I'd like to take a moment to talk about racism in our community. So a musical I like a lot is South Pacific. And there's a song in it with lyrics that go something like this: you have to be taught to hate. You have to be carefully taught. Well, if that's true, and I believe it is, I don't believe that anybody is born with hate in their heart, then the opposite is also true, that you can be taught not to hate. And while I've always thought of myself as a nice person and certainly not a hater, I've come to realize that I have a long way to go when it comes to racism. My husband and I walked in the June 5th Black Lives Matter march, and somebody had a sign that read, "It's not enough to not be a racist. You have to be anti-racist." So I thought about that sign a lot, and I've been trying to learn and grow into an actively anti-racist person. I'm reading books and articles, watching webinars, and learning about white privilege. It's a journey for me, but it's a journey we all need to take as individuals. But the journey is not just for individuals. It's also a community journey. As a community, the city of Clayton must do more. If you Google Clayton, California racism, you're not going to find articles about city council standing up to and fighting racism. Instead, you're going to find articles about one of our local sandwich shops in newspapers as far-flung as the Washington Post and the Daily Mail in the UK. It's time to remedy that reputation. I call on City Council to take action, and I've got a few ideas here. One, you can pen an open letter to Clayton residents condemning racism. You could pass a city proclamation condemning racism. Have resources available on the city's website of books, articles, and webinars to help educate our citizens. Sponsor a campaign that actively promotes an inclusive environment for all people. Encourage all businesses, schools, houses of worship, civic groups, and nonprofit organizations to pledge to maintain a safe and welcoming environment for all residents, students, employees, customers, and visitors, and then display that pledge. As individuals and as a city, we can learn not to hate. And let's do something aspirational here. My hope is that one day Clayton will be in a position to apply for and win a National League of Cities Cultural Diversity Award for promoting inclusivity and diversity. That would be a better thing for Clayton to be known for than one of our sandwich shops, wouldn't it? Don't we want to live in an inclusive city where we're proud to grow up in, raise our families in, and retire in? I certainly do. So thank you so much for listening tonight.
Thank you, Laura. The next speaker is Melinda Marion.
Hello.
Hi, Melinda.
Hi, thank you for having me again. So I guess you guys know what happened today with the flag. There's another thing that happened, but I want to first focus on the flag and say that, you know, while some people believe that flag is showing support for officers, during times like these, it shows opposition to Black Lives Matter. So, and some people believe that those flags are defacing the American flag. Also on Marsh Creek Road, a digital traffic sign read, this is today, liberals, and excuse my language, I don't normally use these words, but this is what the sign said, liberals are pussies, Trump 2020, do not slow for protesters. These acts are a symbol of divisiveness of our country and our community. People have become emboldened to speak their mind, even when it causes harm to the greater whole. What are you going to do about it? I have asked this question for the past 5 city council meetings. As our city leaders, you set the tone of our community. I've heard nothing from the mayor or city council members stating that Clayton does not tolerate racism. Silence is complicity. I urge city council to take a stand and set the tone by addressing the community. The community is crying out for the city to do something, hear our voices, and represent our town by making a statement that Clayton does not tolerate racism. Otherwise, I'm afraid we may continue to face discourse by a small faction of people that do not represent the whole and continue to perpetuate hate. Please show us the care and do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. The next speaker is Amy Hines-Shake.
Hello, Mayor Pierce. Hi. Hello, City Council members and esteemed staff. Thank you for having me. My name is Amy Hines-Shake. I've been a resident of Clayton for 8 years. I live in the Regency Meadows neighborhood. I was calling in for 2 things. One is on the agenda and one is not, so I will not speak to the thing on the agenda. I'll wait until that agenda item. I did want to address the Blue Lives Matter flags. I wanted to say that, first of all, July 4th is our Independence Day as Americans, and it's the one time, hopefully, that we can all come together as Americans and say that we're very, very proud to be here. We're proud to be Americans, and it's supposed to be a unifying moment where we can all look at our flag and be proud. And that is the exact opposite of what happened today with the Blue Lives Matter flags going up. I'm very happy to say that they were taken down, and that makes me temper my comments a little bit more. I thought I was going to be railing against in opposition to something. It looks like it was an error, and that error has been corrected. But in this current political climate, when July 4th is not supposed to be political at all, it's supposed to be us all coming together, unified as Americans and being proud. having a Blue Lives Matter flag flown in the face of folks who are risking their lives for Black Lives Matter actually says that Black lives do not matter. So in a politicized moment, the Blue Lives Matter flag looks like it's saying that Black lives do not matter, and it's in opposition to Black Lives Matter. I look forward to the day where we do not have a politicized moment like this, and a Blue Lives Matter flag just means that we value our police department. But we have not arrived on that day. I would really, really enjoy and welcome that day, and I will be very happy to fly a Blue Lives Matter flag when that day arrives, but we're not there yet. Very unfortunately, very, very unfortunately, we're not there yet. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, I think that I'm resonating with several other people who have already made comments, and I'm just going to reiterate it again, is last week or last session, I did ask that the City Council put forward a resolution, a statement against racism and in favor of Black Lives Matter. Other people have said that it's an open letter or whatever, but I do think that the City Council does need to lead from the front by saying that we do not welcome racism in our community and that we support anti-racist behavior and we support Black Lives Matter. So thank you very much, and I'll take my other comments on the agenda item later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. The next speaker is Meredith Happy.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Speak up a little bit.
Okay. My name's Meredith Happy. I am a 22-year-old and I have lived in Clayton for my whole life. My first comment is that I absolutely believe that the person who sent the Blue Lives Matter flags should be paying for the maintenance staff time to pay for that effort. And then my question is just why hasn't any elected official or chief of police formally apologized for the tear gassing of its citizens that occurred at a peaceful protest on June 2nd, 28 days ago? That's all.
Thank you, Meredith. The next speaker is Samantha Sexton. Where'd she go?
She's in the middle on video, but she's on mute. At least on my screen.
She's not in our list.
I've unmuted her. I'm getting a message that she has an older version of Microsoft and can't go to Zoom.
I see her in the room on video.
Oh, I see you. Can you unmute yourself, Samantha?
I believe I did.
There you did.
There you go.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. My name's Samantha. I've lived in Clayton for 8 years now. Thank you to the City Council for allowing me to speak today. I just wanted to express my dissatisfaction with the lack of leadership that our City Council has displayed regarding a firm stance against racism in our community. It's very apparent that many citizens of this community continue to believe that their racist and prejudiced views are acceptable to voice. This was made apparent by the often mentioned at this point incident with the Blue Lives Matter flags being hung in our downtown today. I understand this was not approved by the City Council. However, Dane and Connie Horton felt empowered to take this action on their own with apparent confidence that there would be no.
Your screen froze, Samantha.
Froze up.
Samantha, can you unfreeze your screen?
Today, it was mentioned at the last council meeting that for the protests on June 2nd and June 5th, as well as every 4th of July, city barricades are dropped off at the entrances to neighborhoods, and that citizens are allowed to man these barricades to keep unwanted people out of their neighborhoods. Well, I'm sure it's not the intention of the city to do so. This empowers citizens to then determine who belongs and does not belong in that neighborhood. I believe this sets a dangerous precedent for neighbors to police who belongs in their neighborhood, potentially setting the stage for a situation that could be dangerous for a person of color, like Trayvon Martin, like Ahmaud Arbery. I implore the City Council to discontinue this practice and instead employ city workers to man any required barricades in the future. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Samantha. I don't see any other speakers. Amy still has her hand up, but she has already spoken. Scott Denslow. Let's get Scott unmuted. Okay, Scott, go ahead.
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
Uh-huh.
All right, so I just wanted to change things up a little bit. I came in with a different message planned today, but myself and another resident actually had the opportunity to meet with Chief Warren and another officer, Jason Shaw, earlier today. And I wanted to publicly thank them for their time, especially since Mr. Shaw actually had to leave a little bit early to go deal with that brush fire we were talking about earlier. So I really do appreciate that. We also had some very hard questions for them, questions about why they were facing the protesters on June the 2nd, had their backs to Kness's folks, questions about were they living up to the ideals that they preach about, honestly, and more importantly about how they feel about us hearing about so many Black residents talking about not feeling welcome in their own community or having been pulled over multiple times just for being Black in Clayton. And so it really helped us to talk to the chief and to Officer Shaw one-on-one, or I guess two-on-two, so to speak. And I think, you know, if you were to ask them, I think they felt much the same way, that in that small kind of forum, we were able to find a lot more commonalities than maybe what was available to us on the public statement last week. I heard from a lot of people this week that that statement came across as a little bit tone deaf, but it you know, what we heard today from the chief and from Officer Shaw gave us a very different impression of what they were trying to get across. And so I really do appreciate that. It was also gratifying to help them to kind of understand that they're also part of city leadership. You know, we don't have to wait around for city councilor or anyone else to do anything. They can make statements. They can do things as leaders of the community too. And so the more that they hear from other people in the community that feel the same way or have issues with them, the more they might feel incentivized to listen. But they are willing to listen, and they did that today, and I really do appreciate that. So I'm more encouraged than I was, you know, coming in today. And then I came home and I heard about the Marsh Creek signs, and then I heard about what they said. I won't get into that. We all saw what they said. And we heard about what the Hortons did, essentially tricking the maintenance crews into putting up Blue Lives Matters flags. So right now we have, you know, we have some responsibility. We have some opportunity in front of us. Certainly heard a couple of residents talking about how the Hortons should probably be paying for that. I think that's obvious. That certainly should not be coming from city funds. I think we'd all agree with that. Mr. Horton was also on video today talking about how this was in response to the rainbow flag being flown by the city. So I think we just want to make sure that we address these types of actions. You know, a lot of people have issues being known as, you know, Clayton's this, Clayton's that. Well, Clayton is what we make of ourselves. And so when we see actions like these going on, we should address them. We should take them on. And, you know, like Melinda said earlier, let us not be known for the actions of a few. Let us address these actions so that we don't become known for this. And that's all. Thank you for your time, and particularly thank you, Chief Warren.
Thank you, Scott. I see one more speaker, Cecil Collins. There, you're unmuted, Cecil.
All right, good. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me a little bit of
time. Speak up just a little bit. You're faint.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me a little bit of time. I just wanted to say I was obviously a part of the last protest, and I was very, very thankful to see the council members that were there and present. And also wanted to just acknowledge Chief Warren for coming to my office and speaking with me privately to address the situation. That meant a lot to me, and I appreciate the effort that you took. I also want to make sure that everyone listening and all the residents who have already spoken understand that I'm grateful for every one of you who are calling in, putting up signs, doing what it takes to change the narrative of what's happening in our town. This has been a peaceful place for me to live for the last 10 years. Well, be it not perfect, there isn't anywhere I can move that will be perfect. But I am thankful that we are at least in a position now where we can continue to have conversations. And I encourage everyone else to continue calling in and to continue showing support for our city leaders. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Cecil. I don't see any other hands raised. So, Janet, did we get any public comments by email?
Mayor Pierce, we did not receive any comments by email today.
Okay, very good. Then we will close the public comment period on non-agenda items, and we will go. Yes?
Julie, one comment. So, hey, Janet, can you check your email? I'm getting a text message from one resident who would like to speak and is unable to get through the registration. She had apparently emailed you and is trying to register right now. So can you just look at your email and try to see if you can get her connected?
Councilmember Catalano, I am having some trouble with my email. It happened after 5 o'clock today. If the caller would like to give me a call to my direct line, they could put them on speaker and have them do their public comment for 3 minutes.
What would be the number for that person
The
to
number
call?
304.
The number is 925-673-7304.
Okay.
Okay, we'll give her just a couple of seconds here. See if she can get through to Janet. Anything, Janet?
Mayor Pierce, I have no phone calls as of yet.
Okay. And she actually just texted me back saying it was for an agenda item. So, you know, I think she's coming back for a later item.
Okay, well, I will remind our audience that we have rearranged the agenda a bit, and we are going now directly to our action item 6A, which we will take before the budget, because we anticipate it will be a little bit shorter item. So the next item is the establishment of a public safety committee. And Chief, why don't you brief us again on how that works?
Hi, good evening. So last week I presented to Council 3 options on ways that the police department, myself, and could engage more with the community. And after that discussion, Council had directed me to come back with a public safety committee proposal. And so I did that, and you'll see there's a little bit of a difference from what we talked about last week to this week, and there are really 2 options for a public safety committee. One would be a standing committee, and one would be an ad hoc committee. And I had spoken with Laura about the differences between the 2, and I really have come to the conclusion that I believe an ad hoc committee would be the best forum to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. And the ad hoc committee, the way I have proposed it, would be 2 council members and myself, and we would then engage with the public on specific topics. And so it would allow us to have a more informal group discussion than a standing committee. We wouldn't have to set time limits for speakers. We could use it as a more roundtable type venue. It could be large or small. We could change the topics to fit what the concern is, as long as it falls within the public safety realm. And then after time, if we found that these were going to be more reoccurring regular meetings, then we could come back to council and ask that it become a standing committee. And I also talked to Martin earlier today to make sure I understood the differences between the ad hoc and the standing committee. And I believe that that what I've just said, accurately portrays how we could do it.
Chief, just wanted to clarify an ad hoc committee can consist solely of the members of the legislative body. Were you saying that you would be part of that committee, or would it just be the two members of the council?
I guess it would be whatever is legally mandated.
I would suggest that it's two members of the council, and if those two members want to meet occasionally with the city police chief, that works fine.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, the ad hoc committee is the two council members. Is that correct, Martin?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Very good.
Staff support role, Martin.
Yes. So the chief would be serving in a role of support. Okay, let me go first to our audience and see if anyone, well, let me ask the council first. Any questions about this strategy?
But yes, can I jump in?
Go ahead,
So the standing committee would be two council members and the chief. Is that how that works? And then with regard to public notice, the ad hoc committee doesn't have public notice. Is that right?
Yeah. So generally, with the general rules for standing committees are, they can contain members who are not members of the city council. They would be subject to the Brown Act. They don't need a schedule, but normally they do have a regularly scheduled time to meet. And then the main issue is that they have continuing jurisdiction. So we want to make sure with the ad hoc committee that it's not all encompassing of public safety. Like it's more that it's going to focus on an issue and kind of be a temporary thing. And then if it grows into something more broadly, there would probably have to be a standing committee.
Because the way that I understood this, at least correct me if I'm wrong, last week we talked about this was the Chiefs Committee and that we were going to be ancillary to it anyway. There were going to be two members of the council that were going to be a part of the committee. So I'm just trying to get a handle on making sure that that what we're going to be doing is what we need to do, and that the notice goes out to the public so that they can really be involved in this.
Right. I may not have been fully aware of all of the rules on committees. The way I envision this working is that there would be two council members selected, and the public would come to those two people and say, we have an issue in this area, and we would like this issue discussed at the ad hoc committee meeting, and then there would be notice to the public inviting any interested party to attend, and we would have the committee meeting with, I would participate if you invited me, and the committee meeting would then be a more informal, could be a roundtable type discussion. It doesn't need agenda items and the strict time periods. That's how I'm understanding it. And if I'm understanding it correctly, I feel like that offers us the least restrictive way to interact with the public to address their concerns.
And some of what if I may, some of what the ad hoc committee could also help the chief with, in the ad hoc committee with the chief is, what type of a community forum would you like to have if the ad hoc committee feels there's a topic that needs to engage the public? Where should the venue be? How should the people be invited? Is it social media, public notice? So it gets down in working with the chief on some of those logistics to have that conversation, as well as to how you would feel would be the best forum to have those types of community engagement discussions. Would be assisting by the ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee can really help provide that guidance to the chief about a manner in which, is it Zoom? Are we left to only Zoom? Do we do something up at the community park under the picnic shelter that has social distancing? So all sorts of ideas can be generated by the ad hoc committee, including, feedback on topics. And it's a place to start, knowing that in December, the council will revisit all of their committee roster again, and at that time you can determine, as the chief mentioned, whether this should be made a standing committee, which would then have a formal meeting date, time, place, and an agenda put out, very specific and stuck to with a time limit for speakers. So it's just a way to kick it off.
Okay. Any other questions by Tuya?
So I like the more formal committee or the standing committee in a sense that it's published. There's agendas. There's a regular time when they meet. The only thing I don't like is the formality of having a maximum amount of time a member of the public can speak. So is the purpose of that requirement to ensure that everybody has an equal opportunity? And is there, if that's the case, is there a way to phrase it so that it's not a maximum, you get 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but it's instead that all members who attend are given equal opportunity? Because I really like the round table concept the best.
Yeah, just to clarify, with standing committees, like they don't have to have a regular meeting schedule. As I mentioned, the main thing is that, it's got to comply with the Brown Act. So generally there will be speaker time limits. I mean, that's just, the normal thing is 3 minutes. It could be 5, but I understand what the council is saying, that if they want it to be flexible, then those don't apply with an ad hoc committee. But the standing committee is still flexible in the sense that it doesn't require a schedule, a regular schedule of meetings. It's just that the main thing is that it has subject matter jurisdiction over, say, in this instance, public safety. So if that's the case, and there's going to be a broad dialogue on public safety issues, it may actually be more suitable to be a standing committee, to the extent that ad hoc committees are more geared towards a specific issue and doing like a study or accomplishing a specific task, and then they kind of dissolve after they're done with that task.
So the follow-up, in terms of the standing committee, so even if you publish that, let's say everybody gets at least 3 minutes, 5 minutes, does the standing committee have the right to, vary from that? In other words, announce, in order to be able to accommodate a roundtable discussion as opposed to take a turn and here's your 5 minutes?
I mean, it's just got to be within the limits of the Brown Act. So a roundtable discussion generally, like under a formal meeting such as this, it's not really going to allow for a roundtable discussion. I would say that probably poses a risk in terms of regulating the public comments. But so I would say that probably would be a bit difficult to have it sort of in that roundtable fashion.
So maybe what we do is we start with the ad hoc committee, and we've got 6 months. We see how that goes. If we want to make it a standing committee come December, we can do that. And there's no reason you can't publish your scheduled meetings and things like that, but it would allow the subcommittee to meet and do planning and all that kind of thing without having to have a formal agenda and a published agenda. They could work in an ad hoc fashion in tandem with the chief, and then any public meetings you could set up would have those noticing requirements.
And if I can add, Mayor, the opportunity still does exist for the ad hoc committee, if that's what's chosen, to bring back a recommendation to the council that they prefer to be a standing committee prior to the December date. You always have a chance to revisit that, but that's the normal procedures. You look at that in December, but if something develops and they want to bring something back to you, you still can look at it earlier.
Okay, Jeff, did you have a comment?
I think I did, but I'm trying to remember.
I think I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. It's no, I mean, I think I cut you off too. I like the formality of announcing agendas ahead of time with the notice requirement of a standing committee, only because, there's a bridge of trust that I think we need to build with with people, with interested parties, in that we're not doing anything that isn't out in the open. And so the standing committee resolves a lot of those things. That's the best part of it, actually. The best part is that the Brown Act, complying with the Brown Act, protects all of us. It is very open. and it's very clear on what the requirements are for everyone. So that's the best part, I think, of a standing committee. The worst part is that you have to have those limits and that you can't do that round table, as Martin mentioned. You know, you theoretically, I don't know, there's probably not a really good way around it. You know, you could say your limit is 20 minutes and it's cumulative. So, you know, and whoever happens to come, you get enough time, and you could loosely track it. I mean, we've had council meetings where there's a little bit of interaction, which I think is healthy. And so, you know, I think there's a little flexibility. The risk is if someone feels slighted, then they'll sue us. So there's that.
If I can, maybe to offer.
Laura, you need to speak up. It's really hard to hear you.
Oh, okay.
I think it should be in the budget that you get a mic.
Yes, I said that last week. Why don't we have that?
One of the things that the ad hoc committee can do is actually identify the publication, the announcements of the agendas, and put those out there. They would work on the topics, you know, in conjunction with community members, and then broadcast it out as to this, we're going to have a forum on this topic and the community's invited. So you can still have the public robustness of getting information out to invite the public to come, but the committee could kind of work on, you know, with the community, what those topics would be and be able to identify the proper venue location to hold that type of meeting in and work with staff on those logistics. But you can still definitely do the robustness of getting the information out to the public, as you mentioned, that you like about the standing committee, the formalization of those notifications. That can still be included in an ad hoc committee.
Yeah, everything that you can do in a standing committee, you can also do in an ad hoc committee. I mean, we could commit within ourselves to adhere to all the provisions except for that time limit thing. You know, I mean, that's fine too.
I really
anyways, that was my thoughts. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I really like the round table, that type of discussion and dialogue. So I'm kind of leaning towards an ad hoc committee, but I would agree. I would want to adhere to some of the Brown Act requirements so that we publish the agenda 72 hours ahead, you know, and put it on the city website and be public about it. So.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
I just think just for an additional clarification, that the main thing to consider is, or not the main thing, but a main thing is that to the extent that this ad hoc committee or standing committee, if it's going to be having sort of like the term is continuing jurisdiction. So if it's going to have a broad range of issues that it's discussing that are you know related to public safety, that's kind of when it can approach the standing committee requirements. So it's really the goals of what the council wants to do. Like if it has again, ad hoc committees are more specific to a task or an issue, and then the two council members will study that issue and report back to the council. The standing committee is sort of an ongoing body that meets. It doesn't have to be regular, but they'll meet, and then they'll also make recommendations to the council. But they have the jurisdiction over that subject matter, which would, in this case, would be public safety.
Okay. Any other?
Isn't one other question? So, isn't one of the criteria of an ad hoc, a key criteria is the time boundness of the committee? Like,
sorry, go ahead.
That was it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, ad hoc committees are generally like very temporary. Like they'll expire once their objective is achieved, or when they, you know, like if they're there to conduct a study or submit it or focus on a task, and when they report it to the council, generally that's the time that they're done.
Well, given that this is an election year, it depends on who's on the committee. Might be a moot point come November. We don't know. So the limit would be what, till November 7th or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's there's no specific time. It's just that it's limited, as opposed to standing committees are generally more like it's until the council decides that they don't want to have a standing committee.
Okay, let's go to public comment, and then you can all be thinking about what you want to do. Our first public speaker is Bassam Altwal, followed by Amy Hines. Bassam, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So this is a public safety committee, and as Chief Warren said, it is to engage with the community, which is great. My note here is in opposition to the selection of two particular council members being on this committee, Mr. Wan and Mr. Diaz. Mr. Wan made a statement. Well, first of all, the Tuesday, June 2nd protest, and we all know what happened on Tuesday, June, was not right. So Mr. Wan made a statement after that protest, thanking the police for their actions. He thanked the police for gassing the Clayton residents. He thanked the police for shooting rubber bullets at Clayton residents. He thanked the police for shooting paintball bullets at Clayton residents. On this committee, we need people who have the courage to question, to ask hard questions with respect, to inquire about actions, the why and what for. The point of this committee is we have members that will not rubber stamp actions, since the members decide what the topic is. Mr. Wan also proved on at least 3 occasions that he will bend the truth about statements to fit on his own agenda and his own supporters' reality. He has been accusing Terry Denslow of calling him a racist for a year and a half now. After being corrected multiple times, he still insists on repeating the story as of 2 weeks ago. As for Mr. Diaz, his background as a police officer actually disqualifies him from being on this committee. He's not fit for this committee just because of that. He will never question his own. He will still have the blue on blue code or unwritten code. He can't be impartial, and he must not serve on this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Bassam. The next speaker is Amy Hines, who will be followed by Melinda Marion. Amy, you are now unmuted.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pierce, honorable council members, and esteemed staff. I appreciate the ability to speak with you today. I'm trying to comment on the Community Advisory Board regarding public safety. I don't actually have any opinion on it appears to be a very hot topic about whether or not it's ad hoc or standing. That's not why I'm calling in today. I am calling in to make a statement that I believe that it would be disqualifying for the 2 city council members who are selected to be city council members who had made statements either in defense of the tear gassing and foam bulleting and other overt uses of force towards our citizens here. If those statements were made by a city council member in support of those actions or defensively defending those actions, then that should be a disqualifying. That should be disqualifying for the city council member. I'm not like Bassam in the way that I'm going to call out individual people, but you know who you are. If you have personally made a statement or using your city council hat, you made a statement in defense of the tear gas and the overt uses of force like the foam bullets, then that is disqualifying for this committee, and you will not have the public trust in being able to oversee and to be part of a community advisory board over public safety if you feel like it's okay what happened on June 2nd. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. The next speaker is Melinda Marion, to be followed by Matt Foley.
Hello again.
Hi, Melinda.
I appreciate the efforts by Police Chief Warren to engage the community and thank her for taking the time to meet with myself and Scott today. While I believe a public safety committee would be a positive step forward, I'm concerned by the fact that the committee will not include community members and the meetings would be on an as-need basis. How can we rely on a committee to decide when a meeting is needed and that the 2 council members will properly report back to council? A lot of people feel the voices of Clayton are not being heard, and it seems there is a history of not being heard. Jeff Wan's campaign in 2018 was centered on the idea that he would represent the voice of the community. Yet here we are in crisis, and many people still feel like they are not being heard. Here we are in a crisis, and we still have not had open dialogue with the City Council. As it stands now, I don't have confidence that the community would be properly represented if certain council members were chosen. I feel like the only council members that have spoken up or responded to our concerns with recent events is TUIA and CW. I feel like those two are the only council members that I have confidence in listening to the community's concerns and properly managing meetings and discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. The next speaker is Matt Foley.
Okay. In regards to the committee, I believe there's going to be more time spent in this committee than the Clayton officers actually do respond to calls. It's a small police department. We had one incident which was justified. As much as the protesters don't want to realize it, they were in violation of the curfew. They were warned many times. People said there was no warnings. I saw the videos. I saw I know what the blue smoke was about. That's a warning. It's inert gas saying you are going to get gassed if you remain here. Okay. They chose to remain there. If you're going to protest, you're going to break the law. What people need to realize, they have to have accountability. That's why the nation is falling apart and police are at this point of contention, is because people are not taking accountability on themselves. For those parents who are screaming foul that their kids were getting gassed, getting rubber bullets, look at yourself. You have a duty to protect that child. Them being there, that's on the child, that's on the parent. Them being in harm's way, that's on the parent. So this ad hoc committee, Clayton's a small town. We have a small police force. We have to realize what we're asking them to do. And in regards to the two council members who are being spoken against, Diaz and Juan, what better person to have on the council, on the committee than Diaz, who's worn the uniform, who knows what it takes and what people in uniform are confronting on a daily basis. What better person? I'm not too much up on Juan's record, so I'm not going to speak to that. But I feel Diaz is a perfect person to have on that committee. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Matt. I do not see any other speak. Oh, yes, I do. Dee Vieira, followed by Irina. Where'd you go, Dee? Where'd we lose Dee? There she is. Dee, can you speak? I don't see her on the list, Laura.
Dee, can you hear us? No, okay. What I'm finding is some of the folks have not updated their software, so they have an older version and they're not able to coordinate on Zoom.
Right, you've got to be in version 5, and I know we've heard from Dee before, so maybe there's something going on there. Let's go to Irina, and if Dee can figure it out, we can bring her back in. But let's go to Irina next.
Yes, hi. I have a question. The Public Safety Committee, we keep talking about police, we keep talking about demonstrations. What about the COVID-19? I mean, I work for a healthcare organization, and I'm telling you, this is a lot more serious. And I just want to know if the committee is going to take a look at it. How do we behave ourselves? What are we doing to protect ourselves? Because this political things are coming and going, and I can tell you, this is all this virtue signaling, all this piling up. The real threat, the death threat, is not the demonstration, is not any of the slogans. It's a COVID-19. That's what is threat. That's what overwhelming the hospital beds. That's what overwhelming the healthcare workers. And I just want to know if this committee are going to ever touch on that, or it's going to just be about who is racist, who is not racist, and 5 people from Clayton not 11,000 or 10,000 people living here, are 5 people constantly showing up and virtue signaling and putting labels on people. That is not the threat. What the threat is a COVID-19. So I just want to know if this committee will ever dedicate any time to talk about this, how we behave, because when I walk around and what I'm seeing people in Clayton are doing, they're reckless, just simply reckless. And this is very serious. So I just want to know if this committee is going to devote any time at all to this threat, because this is beyond. I don't know why people think it's all over. It's not over. It's not the second wave. It's the first wave that just started to crest in California. So I'm just worried about it, really, really seriously worried. So I have a question for the whole city council. Is this going to be an agenda item at least once on the public safety? Because COVID-19 is a public safety issue.
Thank you, Irina. That's something that the Public Safety Committee will have to decide for themselves. The next speaker, let's try Scott Denslow, and then we'll check and see if Dee is back on. Okay, Scott, there you go.
Hey guys, so I really want to say that I agree with what Chief Warren said earlier, that this ad hoc committee in many ways is what we make of it. It's very important to have the right city council members on board. If the ad hoc committee is represented by city council members that just want to accomplish nothing, then that's what the committee will honestly become. But in talking to Chief Warren today and in listening to her tonight, she sees this in a much different format in many ways. I think we all, or many of us, see this as an opportunity to involve the public and city leadership and really work together toward common goals and changes. And she talked passionately today about this being the right choice in terms of the 3 options we had, because members of the public specifically would be able to talk without things like time limits and more of, like we talked about, more of a roundtable concept. So seems to me what's important is having the right representation from city leadership as part of the ad hoc committee. And what makes the right representation with someone who's on board with these type of changes, or someone who's on board with the kind of changes that we're looking to make as a community. Specifically, we don't want a council member representing the public that will just try to shut things down or do or not work toward progress and the changes that we're talking about. Commissioner Altwall and others have illustrated why these 2 city council members are not qualified to be part of this committee, and I'd like to echo those concerns without reiterating them. I think they've been spoken upon enough. In light of that, I would like to strongly oppose representation by either Mr. Juan or Mr. Diaz. The committee, at its best, offers the community a real opportunity for the public and leadership and police to work together, and I don't believe that Mr. Juan or Mr. Diaz offer us the chance to meet these goals as a community if they're appointed as a representative. Moreover, I'd like to strongly offer my support toward Ms. Catalano and to C.W. Wolf. I've talked to both of them and have been impressed with their candor and passion for the issues that this committee, or really why this committee exists. They've spoken well on these issues, and I think they're best positioned in terms of city leadership to be appointed to the role. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Scott. I do not see Dee back in the room.
She's here.
I'm here.
Are you?
There we go. I had to put her as a panelist in order to get her to communicate.
Okay. All right, Dee, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Dee Vieira, and I'm a resident of Clayton, and I live in Dana Hills. My comment is to express my personal support of my neighbors and support their weigh-in, specifically that of people of color. It is my opinion they need to feel most comfortable with the 2 council members chosen that will listen and represent their concerns wholeheartedly and without bias. The decision to pick 2 city representatives for this committee should be decided by the community if that's possible. I feel every city police department has issues with some police officers behaving unfairly to people of color, and every police department needs to mend, heal, and build better relationships with all of their members of their community. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dee. Okay, I do not see any other hands raised. Scott has already spoken.
Mayor Pierce, I have Holly on the city phone.
Okay. Welcome, Holly.
All right, Holly, you're on.
Okay, great. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can. Go ahead.
This is very strange. Okay, I just wanted to echo a little bit of what Bassam, Amy, Melinda, and Dee were mentioning. I do think it's really important as advocates that will be speaking on behalf of what the public is bringing to them, as opposed to pushing forward their own agenda or just rubber stamping a project saying that they were involved. And my concern with the names that were already mentioned is just in the few city council meetings that I've been listening to and some of the language that I'm hearing from those two individuals, I'm a little concerned that their interests would not be aligned with what the Black community has been sharing the last 2 weeks. I really do feel that CW, Tia, and even Julie would be better suited to sit on this committee because those three have been very open and have reached out after the June 5th protest to understand what our concerns are and how they can be involved, how they can help. I have heard crickets from the other two. I also do think it's important if as Dee just said, that the members of the community have input on this. I'm not sure how you guys are going to choose. I guess the five of you guys will pick it out tonight and figure it out. But I really do hope that you take that into consideration. It really will be you hearing from us a lot. So you're going to get tired of us, and you're going to have the stamina to deal with it because I think we're going to be in your face a lot the next few months, making sure that you guys are pushing forward the agenda that we want to get in front of everybody in this town. And we really need to know that we have your support in doing that. I think it's really imperative that somebody who was in law enforcement really needs to understand they're not the right person for this job. That's what the chief is there for now. And it was great to hear that there was a wonderful dialogue today with the chief, with Scott and Melinda, and I'm glad that they had that meeting with her to be able to carry forward what we're thinking. But Dia definitely should not be on this committee. His own stance last week on everything the police have gone through, et cetera, to me means that he's tone deaf and not willing to listen to the concerns that we're trying to bring to light. And I think it's really important that that is discussed tonight ad nauseum between the five of you guys. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Holly. Okay. I don't see anyone else with a hand up. Do we have anyone else that you're aware of, Janet, or any written comments before the meeting?
Mayor Pierce, I'm not aware of any other comments on this item this evening.
Okay. All right, then we will close the public comment on this item and bring it back to the council. Any other comments from council members? All right, good. Jeff, you want to comment? Your light went on, that's all.
Oh, I shifted in my seat.
Okay.
I shifted in my seat and it does a light, but
heard you. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me take the mayor's prerogative, if I might, and try to speed this up just a little. I agree with a lot of what some of the members of the community have said, and having listened to quite a few folks, both online and directly with emails and phone calls, I would like to exercise my prerogative and delegate and ask Tuya and CW to serve on this, and I would make that a motion.
You just don't want to have a discussion at all?
I thought that's what I just asked for, and nobody volunteered. So
well, I guess, I mean, I do have comment before the...
Hold on, procedurally. I made a motion, somebody needs to second it, then we go to discussion.
Well, I'll second that. I'd like to be on that committee. I want to also say that I did not campaign at all to be on this committee, so some of the people...
No, nobody did. Okay. I knew that everybody wanted to be on this one. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. Jeff, discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's important to get community representation. And one of the things that strikes me is that there's 3 of you that are potentially up for re-election in 4 months. And I think it would be a disservice to this process if this is used as a political campaign item to be used as a way to garner support for re-election. It also strikes me that there's 2 people of color on this council, and the folks that were most vocal during comment were opposed to the people of color. So I don't really know what to make of that, but it just strikes me as odd. So I think, Councilmember Wolf and I have worked well together in the past on ad hoc committee and then just in general. And so, I think that that combined with the fact that we're essentially not up for re-election makes a difference in how we're able to be what people value as candid. I also don't think that having a committee essentially rubber stamp or have come in with a preconceived notion of what needs to be done versus the approach of actually listening and having that dialogue. Because I don't think that you get a lot of dialogue when everyone in the room thinks the same way. And that's one of the things that I feel like is important to bring to the table, is that you have people that are willing to have the dialogue no matter how uncomfortable it is. And I think that's kind of the point. So I think that having people, the 3 of you who are up for re-election, I don't think that would be a good idea. So that's my take. And I would support Councilmember Wolf because I think, in all my interaction with him, I think it's been great. And I think that when we met, with the small ad hoc committee in the past, we met several times. And I think that those, even with the folks that weren't on the same page as everyone else, the folks that said that they were going to sue us at the end, and the folks that, for whatever reason, I think they still felt they were legitimately heard and that they had that opportunity for that, what I would say is healthy conflict. So that's what I think is important, is to approach it that way versus approaching it with a way that this is what we're going to do and it's already been decided.
So I will just say I don't believe that anyone has already decided anything. And that
you nominated 2 people, so I think that does convey like a preconceived idea. If you start the discussion with, I want these 2.
I have to choose 2.
You don't have to choose 2. You could wait for a nomination, but you decided to choose 2. It's a difference.
It is the mayor's prerogative. Jim?
I want to agree with Council Member or Vice Mayor Juan that it's interesting that the 2 people of color on this council weren't even in the under consideration. And there was a suggestion that due to my background in law enforcement, it wouldn't be appropriate. Yet I consider it appropriate because I've been a member of this community for over 40 years. And I can recall working graveyard shifts by myself when I was the only law enforcement person out in the city of Clayton. And just as an interesting aside, there were times that we escorted or accompanied Clayton residents home who were in need of assistance. And that was on the graveyard shift. So I'll leave it to your own thoughts of what happened to those individuals. But that process, I believe, is still to some degree continuing on in today's department. And that's something that people are not aware of. Regarding being a person not favoring the general flow of interest, of the interest of listening to the community, when I was on the Planning Commission, I listened to the community, and it went against the the grain of the city council. I was not invited back to be a member of the planning commission. So what did I do then? I then began a campaign to get on the city council, which took, I will say this, 5 tries to do it, but I finally did it. My point is, I know for a fact that Vice Mayor Juan listens to the community. The most recent example of that was the position we took on a development issue in the city of Clayton, which there possibly could be some movement on that. That reflects the fact that what we did, Jeff and I, were the right thing. And the last point I want to make is that I guess some of the constituents out there never realized that for 10 years, I was the founding chairman of the Hispanic Community Foundation of the Bay Area. We worked on people of color's issues, both the youth, their families, and more importantly, on education, which is really the main foundation of being successful in this United States. So I'm sorry that as Vice Mayor Juan said, that there was not really dialogue about the people that were selected, and I recognize and will support the mayor's prerogative in this matter. She's done that in the past, and I suspect she'll do it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Tia?
So a couple comments. So, I mean, first of all, so none of us are elected to the city council as experts in any particular field. There's no attorney or any other professional seat on the council. And instead, we are elected to represent our residents and do what's in the best interest of the city as a whole. I really object to, Jeff, your comment about this being election year and council members behaving differently. If you look at my voting record, I think you see that I've consistently voted based on what I believe to be in the best interest of the city, even if it personally hurts me in a re-election campaign. I know for a fact that I've taken those votes that could personally hurt me in a re-election campaign, but that's not what this is about. This is about doing what's best for the city as a whole. I know for a fact that all of us here care about this city. We all value safety. There's no question about those things. But in the last month, you know, we've heard from many Clayton residents who do not feel as safe or as equal as others do. And I think that's alarming and absolutely something that we need to do something about. We have a community dialogue that's about to start regarding race. All of us should want to engage and be part of that discussion. And I hope that many of us are willing to challenge our own often implicit biases that all of us have to some extent and be part of the change that's really overdue in this country. I watched the 13th Amendment movie over the weekend, and it's sad to see, you know, the progress that was made sort of in the 60s that we're in some ways in this tackling the same issues in 2020. So as important as the race dialogue is, at some point, I think that dialogue needs to merge with the dialogue about public safety. We can't have one without the other, and we can't create any meaningful change unless we're willing to listen, to discuss, and take appropriate action. So I see, the way I see this committee, I see it being one that's responsible for genuinely listening and engaging in a roundtable format, back and forth discussions with our residents, being willing to listen, to understand, being focused and attentive for the duration of the meeting, and being willing to have some tough discussions, some of which will be uncomfortable. I don't have all the answers. I don't claim to have all the answers. But you know, when you think about, for example, race relations, I think we need to explore one of the things, for example, whether additional diversity training would be helpful to our PD. Asking for diversity training is not saying that we have a problem. So, for example, as an attorney, you know, every 3 years, I had to go through certain continuing education, which always includes a lesson in substance abuse. I've never had a substance abuse problem, but I don't need to have a problem in order to benefit from additional training. And we often benefit from additional training most when we don't have a problem. So I do think that our community badly wants to explore additional ideas, to have an opportunity to work with city leaders, whether it be diversity training or something else. And in part, that's going to be related to the BLM movement and racism. Like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I do want to be part of the solution, and that's why I definitely would like to be part of this committee.
Any other comments?
Are you saying that you just watched 13th recently and you just learned about the prison industrial complex recently? I just find it odd. I find it odd that, you know, again, you have 3, you know, Caucasian members of this council, and they think that they're going to be the ones to represent people of color. That just seems somewhat laughable. It seems laughable to me, the idea that, you know, that we're going to take cues, that the people of color will take cues from 3 white people, essentially, that are just now waking up to the fact that there's racism all over the place. Like, this is what I've lived my whole freaking life. And so the idea that you're going to say, oh, now that we know that, you know, we're going to learn that redlining happened. I mean, if you could legislate away racism, then Bingham, when drafting the 14th Amendment in the 1866 Civil Rights Act, would have been sufficient. But no, the privileges or immunities that you may have learned about in law school was gutted by slaughterhouse and this racist country. So you want to say that, like, you're just now waking up to the idea that there's racism everywhere? I mean, that's privilege right there. And the idea that this, you know, that we need to listen and make changes, I mean, you need to live it. And that is not something that you are fundamentally ill-equipped to accomplish. If you want to talk about a study or a commission that discusses issues that affect women, I'm not going to speak on that one. I'm totally ignorant. Like, I will defer to the members of the community that experience those things, because that I don't have a place in that discussion. So if you want to, but I do have, you know, but if you want to talk about like issues that affect people of color, I mean, it is frankly laughable to say that we're going to take cues from only the white people on our council.
And Jeff, so I did not just say that I woke up today and realized there's racism in our country or not in our state. I clearly did not say that. But so let me ask you this question. So today we had a number of public speakers. A number of them were people of color. And why do you think they didn't support you or Jim for this committee? I'm just asking. So here's
is that a question, or do you want me to answer or no?
Yeah, I do want to answer, but hold on, let me finish up my thought. So what this committee is not, it's not about you know, the committee members coming in with an agenda and with all the answers. It's about listening and engaging in dialogue. That's what this is, involving our community. So that's why I said none of us have 100% expertise in every area of or topic. This is about engagement, an opportunity to have a dialogue.
No, I completely agree with that. When I came to this council and I campaigned, I went door to door. People of color asked me, do you feel safe knocking on people's door? Are they going to attack you because you're a minority? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to find out. And that engagement, like when people have a question to me, I'll respond to anyone. I engage every single person via any means or medium that they want. People will call me at home, they'll email, they'll meet me on the street, and I'll talk. And that the idea that I forgot your initial question. Sorry, can you repeat it? I did want to answer it though, but I lost the train.
I just find it interesting that a number of the speakers today were people of color, and they specifically spoke against you and Jim being representatives on that committee.
Oh yes, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, and you know, and here's the thing, that is what I want to address. People of color are individuals first. There is no monolithic people of color. It is fundamentally racist to like attribute views based on people's ethnicity, their race, or whatever. You don't. I would never treat people as a group. Always individuals. Different people will disagree. Different people will agree. It has nothing to do with their ethnicity, their race, or anything. It's each person as an individual. So why people, the question of why people were opposed, I'm sure they have their reasons, and to them they're valid. That's fine. The idea that we know from history, both here and me watching all the previous videos of the council meetings, people who are upset with an issue, people who are most opposed, those are the tend of speakers that we get. We don't get the speakers that tell you "attaboy," and that's fine. They shouldn't. People should not have to come to these meetings and voice those things. We should be representing them individually. When we were at the demonstration on the Friday, 50 people stopped me and thanked me for like explaining what was happening. And contrary to what some of the speakers thought, it wasn't an acceptance or a congratulations to our police for their actions. No, it was a recognition that things are hard and sometimes people make choices. That's it. I don't think tear gassing our residents and the people, I don't think that was the best course of action. In fact, when we first issued the curfew, which the rest of us weren't consulted with, like the curfew just got ordered, not from us. Like I was never consulted on a curfew. I don't know if you guys were individually, but I wasn't, because when I heard about it, I reached out and said, I don't like the idea of curfews. I think that they are infringement on our individual liberty. Like people, like, so that part, like why would there are individuals that are opposed? There's going to be individuals that are opposed. There's nothing that you could, you're not going to change all the minds. But having that discussion, being able to engage with anyone, even people who disagree, that's a strength that I bring, and I challenge you to do the same.
So Jeff, you just made my point. The five of us are individuals before anything else. And this is not about the race that each of us represents. It's about representing our citizens and being there to listen and have a dialogue as individuals.
All right, I'm going to bring this to a close because, quite frankly, all five of us are qualified to sit on this committee. However, many of our citizens who are very concerned and have taken the time to be here tonight and in the past have made it really clear that they have more trust in a couple people than they do in the rest of us. And so I have nominated, and it has been seconded, to have Tuya and CW on this ad hoc committee. That does not mean in any way, shape, or form that the rest of us don't listen to the community. It does. We do. And whatever recommendations might come back to the council of their work on the ad hoc committee will be something that all five of us will discuss. And so we have a motion on the floor. I'm going to call for a roll call vote. Please, Janet.
Thank you, Mayor Pierce. Councilmember Catalano.
Aye.
Councilmember Diaz.
Abstain.
Councilmember Wolf.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Juan.
No.
Mayor Pierce.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we will look forward to a report back from the ad hoc committee as those meetings get started. So thank you all for that discussion, and thank you to our audience for chiming in on that. We will now go to our public hearing, which is our final public hearing on the 2021 fiscal year budget for the City of Clayton and our 5-year capital improvement program budget. for the years 2020 through 2025. So we're going to go first to the assistant to the city manager and our finance director. And hopefully we actually get to hear from our finance director tonight.
Yes, Paul's been riding shotgun, but I want to put out, hi, this is Laura Hoffmeister, your acting city manager. This is the last and final hearing tonight on the formal public hearing and adoption presented for your 2020-2021 budget. Paul Rodriguez, your finance manager or finance director, is riding shotgun, but he has put together all the numbers in the budget. And before I start on the presentation, I did send out to the council, and we have posted on our website, Paul's due diligence in reviewing the PowerPoint for tonight. We found an error in the document, the budget document on page 1. It was the general summary. It had an old table that was in there, which summarized the 4 budget area funds: the general fund, operating expenditure, other funds, and capital improvement program and successor agency. There was an error in the capital improvement program. As you recall, the city engineer has made adjustments in that CIP project list, and the total number of dollars being spent for 2020-2021 was reduced due to changes in funding opportunities. And so that table was not correctly updated when we put the final document together. And so it was updated, and an errata sheet was provided out to the council, and the information was posted on our website. So that's the only substantive change in the materials since you've last seen it. All of the Excel charts were correct that Paul had put together. So I'd just like to highlight tonight's public hearing and budget adoption. We go to the next slide. This was the document, this page here, that was adjusted in the budget. And as you can see, the total number of revenue or expenditures planned for 2020-2021 is less than last year by about $1 million. And that's primarily due to the adjustment of the capital improvement program. We're spending less money in 2020-2021 than we had in prior years. Next slide, please. And again, just to highlight the city's revenues that we received by categories, as was explained at the last meeting and the workshop, the city of Clayton is in a unique position, especially during this time of COVID. We're somewhat fortunate. Our major revenue sources do not include sales tax. Ours is property tax, the vehicle license fees, and franchise fees, and then sales taxes. And then you can see there's other sets of funds that we get throughout a variety of areas. Business license in this city, being that we're mostly home-based business operation with limited fixed retail stores and businesses, we only get 3.1% on business license fees. So that shows the public where our funds come from that we provide services for in the community. If I can go to the next slide. This is the expenditures that are proposed for 2020-2021. And 55% is our general fund services, and 17.7% is the landscape maintenance district. And those expenditures come from a special tax revenue that the public's voted for. So the bulk of our work is providing police services, administrative support services, and general maintenance services for the city, which includes, the finance department, city engineer, city attorney, and that comes from that 55.08% of the general fund mostly, and then the landscape maintenance district picks up the big bulk of some of the maintenance district, maintenance staff time. And then the Grove Park is a slice there. It's also another dedicated funding source, and you can see the other expenditures that we expend out, but these are from dedicated funding sources. Next slide, please. This is the proposed operating expenditures by department. And as you can see, the City Clayton Police Department is a slightly over 1/2 of the budget. And that is because obviously with a police department, it's the only service that runs 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So it would have the largest share of operating costs. And then after that is almost 20% is the rest of the city support for administration, finance, and legal, followed by your community development department, and then some of the other services that the city provides for the community. Next slide. And just to highlight the Landscape Maintenance District, this is a fund that the public pays for by a special tax that they voted on. We do have some projects that we're anticipating to do this next year, which is to continue doing some median improvements and replanting of plants and irrigation on Clayton Road, and then major investment in replacing irrigation control systems so that we have more water efficient landscape management. And then we're going to look into repaving, repairing, and crack sealing some of the trails. We do have a streets project planned, and we could be able to tap on and get some good price quotes for doing that work. And then continuing our arterial tree trimming, which we have large trees that are starting to get in need of trimming. And we spent about $100,000 this last year, and we're proposing another $100,000 this year. So that is a total reinvestment into the district of a little under $500,000 from the public's parcel tax that they voted for to pay for that. And again, if there's other things that come up when we activate the Trails and Landscape Committee, we will bring back additional recommendations to the council. And next slide, please. And this is the project list of the capital improvement programs. I know Scott Allman's on the, I think he was here. Did he drop off? He might have dropped off. I know he had bad connectivity. But you can see here the 6 project areas for the capital improvement program and the funds that are planned to be expended on this, and what those areas are that we have established. The biggest being our neighborhood street repavement project of $872,000. And again, you've received the report on the Street Saver program from the city engineers to what streets have been targeted for pavement enhancements. Next slide, please. And then we did establish in the budget new this year into the city's budgeting process is Fund 110, which, absence of better term, is the new rainy day fund. And this was a fund that council directed to be established with some operational excess revenues from 1819 and some unspent funds from our green infrastructure project plan. And then we have some expenditures for this coming fiscal year, which would provide an ending balance in this rainy day fund of $323,115. And again, at mid-year, after the budgets for this fiscal year is closed and audited, any operational excess will be brought to the city council's attention, and they will then be able to make a determination on where to place those funds. And this would be one opportunity in terms of placing them in an account such as this for future or programmed expenditure. Next slide, please. And this is the highlight overview of the city's general fund, showing that at the end of June 2021, we would have a general fund balance, that's the reserve fund, of a little over $5.4 million. And as you can see, that's almost equal to 1 full year of operating budget. And most communities around in this area, I think, are lucky if they can get 5, 10, or 15, maybe 20% at the most of an operating budget for the fiscal year. So the city here has enough money in its savings account that should something happen, we could continue to operate the city for a full year. Next slide, please. And I'm going to let Paul do this one.
Okay, thank you. So as part, good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. As part of the budget process, the council needs to approve a resolution it's known as the GAN limit. It came out of Proposition 13. But essentially, it takes some price and it takes some information with regards to per capita cost of living and the change in population for the city of Clayton, and as well as Contra Costa County. What this shows is that we actually could appropriate up to, I'll just call it $12 million. We're only spending or wanting to appropriate about $5 million, leaving about $7 million that we don't need to appropriate. This is just a calculation that's required by all cities and special districts when they approve their budget for the state of California. It's a requirement from the state. I believe there's a resolution as part of this. This is included as part of the resolution when you pass this budget. Should you choose to do so, you will be approving the resolution for the appropriation limit as well. Next slide, please. So again, as the acting city manager has succinctly and eloquently put, we presented a balanced budget. We're really proud of that, but it's recommended for the city council tonight is to, one, open the public hearing and receive public comments, then close the public comment period, or excuse me, the public hearing, provide staff with any final budget recommendations or modifications, and then by motion adopt the resolution approving the city budget for fiscal year 2021, the CIP budget for 2021, the 5-year CIP budget for 2021 through 24-25, and as I just mentioned, adopting the appropriation limit for fiscal year 2020-21. And with that, next slide, please. And with that, Laura and I are happy to try and answer any questions you may have or implement any recommendations you might have.
Okay, questions. And if you can unshare your screen, I can see who has a question. Very good. Thank you. Questions? Anybody? If no questions at this time, we will ask if there's any. I thought we did the public hearing last time. No, I guess not. Anyway, okay, then we will open the public hearing and ask if there is anyone in the audience who wishes to make comment on the budget. I see no hands raised yet. Anyone in the audience who wishes to make comment on the budget? Going once, going twice. Okay, no hands raised, so I will close the public hearing and bring it back to staff or back to council.
Mayor, can you just check with the city clerk that there's been no phone calls or emails?
Yes. Janet, have there been any emails or phone calls?
Mayor Pierce, there has not been any emails or phone calls regarding this item.
Thank you very much. All right, back to the council for discussion and or decision.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, so that is a motion to approve the resolution adopting the annual budget for the city of Clayton for the 2020-2021 fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021, and adopting the 2020-2021 appropriations limit. I think that's what I heard, right?
Yes.
Aha. All right, so we have a motion by Diaz and a second by Catalano. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Janet, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Councilmember Catalano?
Aye.
Councilmember Diaz?
Yes.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Juan?
Aye.
And Mayor Pierce?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that is our last action item on this evening's agenda. The next item on the agenda is council items. This is limited to council requests and directives for future meetings. Anybody have something they want for a future meeting?
Well, I was going to bring up this flag issue, but I think now that I'm a member of the Public Safety Committee, I'm going to table that request and get more into that during that committee. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up was I'd like to have a discussion about recognizing Juneteenth as a holiday in Clayton, whether that be by proclamation or whatever. We need to have some kind of discussion on that so that the momentum that's been kicked off here in the city doesn't get stalled. So I'd like to bring that up.
Okay, and that would be to recognize it for next year since it's obviously
Correct.
past.
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything else for future agendas?
So one of the things that we did last November is, we did adopt the proclamation or resolution on the United Against Hate campaign. And I know we did that unanimously, which was great. But I would like to explore the idea of doing a resolution condemning racism. I don't know if it's on for next time or other point in July, but just want to flag that. I think we should do that.
I agree. Anything else?
I just want to clarify, that would be for a discussion item for you to determine how to go about doing it. Staff would not be preparing anything for the council.
No, it would be a resolution, I think, as has been requested by many people.
My recommendation would be you can appoint an ad hoc committee that might want to draft something and present it to the full council.
I'm happy to, since I suggested, I'm happy to put together a draft and then have the other council members provide any edits at the meeting.
You can only have one other person look at it.
No, she said at the meeting.
Oh, at the meeting. Thank you.
Right.
Perfect.
And I will work with Tuya on that directly, since I have one about half drafted already. So, okay, any other items for future agendas?
Yes.
Jim.
Recognition of Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th through October 15th.
Okay. You said September 15th to October 15th, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Anything else? Okay, hearing nothing. We will move on. The next item would be a closed session. We do not have any closed session this evening.
So before you adjourn, are you going to adjourn now?
I am.
Okay, before you do that, can I just do a PSA here real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yes, we need to do that.
Yeah, because we have a virtual Clayton 4th of July parade that's going to be happening at 10 o'clock in the morning on YouTube and on the city website, on the CBCA website. We've got some information on Nextdoor and on various Facebook sites right now. You can go to the CBCA and look at, and you can set a reminder on YouTube for yourself. But we have a really nice presentation. It's only 12 minutes long, so it won't take the rest of your day.
Awesome.
But it's a fun little look back at our parades from years past, and I think people will enjoy it. 10 o'clock in the morning on the 4th of July. And I also, just real quick, I got a reminder that fireworks are against the law here in Clayton. I know we've been hearing them a lot in the middle of the night, and judging by what may have happened out on Marsh Creek Road, you can see how dangerous they are. If that, in fact, turns out to be the cause of the fire this morning out on Marsh Creek Road, that could have been rather devastating, especially as dry as things are right now. So those are my PSAs.
Yes, and I would just reiterate the virtual 4th. We got to thank AJ Chapiro for this.
What a great job.
And our MC, as usual, is the announcer for this one. But AJ has taken some prior footage and videos and photos and put together a virtual parade that I intend to watch in a loop and just watch it over and over and over again.
And Michelle Fong sings. It's great.
Yes,
it's
great. Spectacular. So really, really nice. So we'll all miss being together, but frankly, I won't miss being up at 6:30 to put barricades up. Okay. And I'll bet the other volunteers won't either, but we will miss being together. But this will give us a little bit of that flavor. So everybody tune in, and the goal is we hope to be able to get it on the city's website as well. So we're going to work with Laura on getting that done. So, but it's on lots of social media channels, and even if you're not on YouTube or on Facebook or Nextdoor or anything, you can still watch it on YouTube. So very good. We are adjourned, and we will see you next week at our next meeting.
Next week?
Yep. Next
week?
Meeting is July 7th.
Okay.
Are we going back on regular schedule?
2 meetings, yes.
For the time being.
But yes, July 7th will be your next meeting.
Well, happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July, everyone. Thank you all.
Bye.
Good night.